Hello, everybody. It is Friday, late afternoon on June 5th, 2020. And this morning, the president signed into law new updates to the CARES Act, which included a number of positive things for people who have already gotten PPP loans, as well as a couple of negative things. So just under the operations of I wanted to get this stuff out to you as soon as possible. I want to make sure you know what to do and you have some actionable items coming out of this. I wanted to make sure to get a video out to everybody so that they know. So what's in this bill and how does this apply? First of all, if you have a PPP loan already, there's some good news. And the good news is that the first thing is originally you could only have 8 weeks. You had to use up all of your PPP funds within 8 weeks. Today, that has gone from 8 weeks to 24 weeks. So now you've got 24 weeks to use those funds. That's great news for everybody who is trying to cram things in there. Now you don't have to cram it in there. You're going to be okay. Number two, instead of just having 75% have to go to payroll, they've actually reduced that amount to 60% that has to go to payroll, and 40% can go to the other eligible expenses, things like mortgage interest, rent, utilities, all that stuff. Same things. You still have to have that split, but instead of it being 75-25, it's now 60-40, which again gives you more of a chance, especially with that 24 weeks, to make sure that you're getting full loan forgiveness. Third thing that you've got on here that's really important to understand that's positive is that they snuck in a deferral of payroll taxes for 2020. So what does this apply to? This applies to the 6.2% employer share of payroll. You can defer up to 50% of those taxes to December 31st, 2021, and the other 50% of your 2020 payroll taxes to December 31st, 2022. There's a little bit of playing with fire, because if you are a business and you're an owner-operator, you are personally liable, or you could be personally liable for those payroll taxes. So it's very important that if you do this and you do this deferral, that you stick your money in sort of a safe somewhere and make sure that it's only used in the most extreme circumstances possible. Because again, it could really get you into trouble if you use that money and then you have to pay it back later and you don't have it. Fourth thing that came out of this that's very important to understand is that the loan payback period went from 1 year for all the non-forgivable portion of the PPP. It's going from 1 year now to 5 years. So that's giving you extra time to pay it back. That's great news. In addition, the fifth thing that happened is that we've got a extension of the time in which you can rehire people. It was only until June 30th, and you had to rehire all these people with June 30th. And what we saw yesterday is 2.5 million new jobs were added in the week. And well, what happened? Well, all these people were being rehired because of the PPPs. Some of that was not good business decisions. So they've extended that out all the way to 12/31, and then they've done something even better, which is they've created this thing called a safe harbor. And what the safe harbor is it says, listen, if you tried to rehire somebody and either you couldn't rehire that person, or maybe the job changed and you couldn't even rehire for that job, or secondarily, if the economic conditions deteriorated so much that you really couldn't rehire at all, you're in a safe harbor and you don't even have to worry about rehiring those employees to still be eligible for forgiveness under the PPP. This is a big change, a massive positive change, but leads me to one of my negatives. Now, let me go with the sixth and final positive change. And that is they extended the deadline for you to be able to go and get the PPP loans all the way until December 31st, 2020. If you have not applied, if you're one of those few people who hasn't gone out and gotten them, please go apply. If you applied and perhaps gave the money back before that May 14th deadline like they had talked about for some audit reasons, think about whether or not you actually need the money. Maybe your business conditions have changed since then and you really do need the money. Maybe go back to your banker, see if there's a way you could reapply. These PPP funds are a once in a lifetime kind of a thing that is a savior for many businesses. And you make sure you want to make sure you can take care of your business and take advantage of the situation if it's possible. All right, so that's all the good news. What's the bad news? Well, there's two real big pieces of bad news. The first one is I talked about the safe harbor, but gosh, there's a ton of room for interpretation on the safe harbor stuff. So be very careful with it, document it, make sure you're showing what you're using the funds for, work with your banker so that you make sure you get maximum forgiveness. The second thing is they have not clarified the taxability of this situation. It's very clear from the CARES Act that a loan forgiveness, meaning the forgivable loan component, is not taxable income to you. That's great news. That's what the Congress wanted. They wanted to make sure this wasn't taxable. What the IRS did was an end around on the whole situation, and they said, okay, well, that's great. If it's non-taxable to you, we're going to make whatever you use it for non-deductible as an expense to you, which is the same thing. So instead of getting taxed on the income, you're now not able to deduct the expenses. It's exactly the same thing. So I'm not sure how this is going to get clarified, but stay tuned because something is going to have to give with this. Because otherwise, it doesn't matter whether it's a forgivable loan or not from the PPP. That really has no bearing on this because if you're taxed on the things you spend it on, it's the same as it being taxed when it's forgiven. It's the exact same thing. So look forward to some clarification on that, and look forward to some clarification on those rules regarding the safe harbor. And finally, look forward to, this is just administrative, not good or bad, look forward to an update on the forgiveness calculator that the SBA puts out there so that you can work with your bankers to make sure that you're optimizing your use of the PPP funds. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at info@tgg-accounting.com. We'll put all of our contact information out here and really be thinking about what this means for your business. These are terrible economic times, very, very challenging, but businesses will survive, and we want to make sure that yours is one of them. So please reach out to us if there's anything we can do to help you. Now that you've got our contact information, there are a couple of things that you ought to really be thinking about to maximize the PPP to your business's best advantage. And what I want to make sure you're thinking about is, A, if you don't have it, go get it. B, if you've got it, use it, and make sure you're using it up and keeping track of everything perfectly. Make sure you still are required to do that. And third, make sure you're not making any bad business decisions just so you can take advantage of this PPP money. Make sure you're making the right long-term decisions for you and your business. Once again, feel free to reach out to us at info@tgg-accounting.com. The contact information that was there before, we'll put that up one more time right here. And again, thank you all for listening. We appreciate the opportunity to serve you and your community in this time.